think we do need to pay more attention to it.
Right.
And not only even in the African community, like African American community. It's there even in the Latina community. I have one of my friends who we always have these conversations with, and she's like, it's so rife in their community as well. So I think in general, it needs to be paid attention to. It's very comforting when you see higher end makeup brands coming up with dark skin products, and when you see Sudanese models strutting their stuff, and seeing that they're also appreciated. A lot is being done compared to how I grew up and what I saw, but a lot still needs to be done, especially for young children, because that's their formative years, and that's where they decide whether they'll have good self-esteem or they'll end up with a low self-esteem.
Gotcha. Danielle, let me pose this question to you. You said earlier on that your entire family is black. There's nobody who's white in the direct family line. Danielle, are you with us?
I'm here. I'm
can see the
listening.
pool party. Let me ask you this. When you meet somebody, say, for the first time, and they ask you whether you're mixed race or you have any kind of racial mix with you, or they're surprised that because of the color of your eyes, the color of your skin, the complexion of your skin and stuff like that, you don't have any whiteness. How does that make you feel, or how do you react to that situation?
Well, honestly, like I grew up with a mother who, if anyone ever asked her if she was mixed, she would just tell them that was a rude question. And it is, because a lot of times when people, no, it is, because when
Right.
people ask you if you're mixed, they're usually not Black people who ask you that. They're usually other races. And it's really, they're asking so they can confirm what they might think is the truth, right? So I've had a woman say, I bet your mom has blonde hair and blue eyes. Like, and my mom doesn't, you know what I mean? Like growing up, I feel like I grew up in a very pro-Black household, and my grandparents are, so for me, if you think someone is mixed, like, first of all, being a light-skinned Black person, I feel like I have a pretty good gauge on if someone is mixed, but I also don't think about it that much. You know what I mean? I feel like, especially here, if you look Black, then you probably are treated as Black, and that's really just what it is. With that being said, I do feel like there are other communities, like, a lot of Dominicans that I knew when I used to live in New York were just like so anti-Black, but they were darker than me. You know what I mean? They like their hair was a different texture than mine, and everyone in my family is Black. So, I think it's something that impacts everyone. And I do think a lot of people just feel better about feeling closer to white, but I can't say that I was raised in that way. And I think it is still to this day rude to ask someone what they're mixed with. Like, what does that really have to do with anything? What does that really have to, and it's never about you, it's always about them. So, I do think that there needs to be greater representation, especially of Black women who give so much of their style and their fucking bomb ass hairdos and their bomb ass, just aesthetic. It gets taken and it gets appropriated often. So yes, if you're gonna appropriate it, at least we can have the root of it at the front and center so everyone can know, but that's just me.
I was laughing because what you said, it's kind of rude when people ask you when you're mixed. It reminds me of something my wife tells me. So many times, sometimes we're walking down the street and we see somebody who we're not sure whether it's a male or a female. And, we go like, is that a male or a female? And we look at ourselves and we ask ourselves, what does it matter to us? We're not taking them to bed. We're not trying to date them or anything. What does it matter?
Yeah.
It's just a person.
What does it matter? It's just because you want to pass a judgment. And I think Black people, especially in America, have realized that, like, if you look Black, you're going to be treated as such. So it really matters a lot less. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It still matters, but I think Black people understand that, like, if you look Black, then you're going to be treated Black.
I think I have this friend. I won't mention her name, but she's from Africa. She's extremely light skinned. And one time she made a comment. She's like, "I'm so light skinned, you'd think I was Latino," And I was like, "Okay." It's just an off comment. But then I analyzed her behavior, and I felt like she was trying to disassociate from being Black, trying to move closer to white because she felt like there'd be some preferential treatment.
I don't know. What is it like, would you say, in Kenya?
I'd say, I'd say the colorism aspect for us it mostly shows up in relationships more than it shows up in the normal day-to-day, like brushes with the law and everything, just because Kenya has so many communities and everybody's a different color, shape, size, all that stuff. So when the police are policing, they basically are just looking at all of you as the same, because we've grown up seeing all these different shapes and colors and sizes. But then when you're on the dating scene, that's where it shows up. It doesn't show up in, it doesn't
Well,
show, I don't,
I would say the same then. I feel like where I see it the most is dating, for sure. I feel like it's so many black men who are just like, they love light skinned women. They do. You know what I mean? And like, that's not something that I personally have control over, but they definitely do. I do feel like on the flip side, like, especially here, like, I feel like black people know other. Like, we were talking about Rashida Jones. Do you guys know who that is?
Yeah.
I don't know her. Mm-hmm.
She's on the show called Black as Fuck, and my friends were like, I didn't know she was black. Me, I knew she was black.
Me neither, by the way. Me neither.
You didn't either?
Me neither. Me neither. Interesting, you should bring up that show because I want to ask you a question about that. First of all, let me to both of you. I just about I just not gonna let you guys slide on this about dating. Okay, so Maggie, you mentioned that it was a factor in Kenya when dating came. Danielle explained has. Okay, so let's hear your perspective. When you say it plays a factor in Kenya, what do you mean?
It's said blatantly, you know, light-skinned women are more beautiful, and there's also this bragging factor when a guy scores, and I say it because it's kind of like a trophy, a light-skinned woman, and everybody will be praising him. Oh, you know, you got this light-skinned woman. So on the dating scene, if you hang out with men specifically, it comes out so obviously. And there are women who use that as their bragging right, and they're always like, oh, you know how light I am and everything. So it's so in your face that you cannot not notice it. So that just conditions your mind in a certain way even when you're out there. And then men would say things like, oh, you're so beautiful for a dark-skinned girl.
Ooh.
You know, you're like, oh, what does that mean? But it comes out. It's said openly. It's not a secret. So you get used to it.
Surprising thing. The reason why I wanted to get your opinion on that, I have at least right now on the top of my mind 3 friends who date nothing but dark-skinned women. The darker the better. And some of them are two of them are particular that actually like my complexion. I'm pretty dark and they're darker than me. So I think I don't know. It's good to share your experience, but I don't think it encompasses everybody. Now, I don't think it's fair to paint everybody with one paintbrush. But I have definitely experienced it myself. Okay, obviously my wife is very light skinned, but in my sense, I can explain because my mom was extremely light skinned, and my mom passed away when I was pretty young, and my dad tried to date again, and he used to try to date different women. And one time he sat me down and told me that he was like, JJ, all these women I've been dating, you don't seem very interested in the darker skinned ones. You just seem interested in the lighter skinned ones. And okay, I think that's kind of factored in when I was, looking for someone to spend the rest of my life with. So I know where my story comes from, but I can't speak for everybody else.